Today's lecture is about volume types. So in AWS we used to have different type of volumes. Depending upon the workload, the kind of workload which you are going to put, we will be choosing different type of volumes. So once we will go and launch an instance, so I'm going here, I'm clicking on Amazon Linux. I'm taking an instance with 1 CPU, 1 GB RAM, configure instance details. Next step is add storage. Now in the storage section you can see now the volumes in AWS are known as EBS volumes. EBS is known as elastic block storage. So we used to have different type of volumes. As you can see, we are having general purpose SSD, we are having provisioned IOPS SSD, we are having magnetic volume. These are the volume types. So this is the boot volume, the first volume. So I'm getting only 3 options to create a volume. But if I will go and add another volume, I'll be getting 5 options. So we'll talk about what these options are and when we will be using these options. So we are starting with elastic block storage. Now the first type of storage which we are having is that is known as SSD. SSD storages are known as solid state drive. This is the fastest drive which we are having these days. Second type of storage is known as HDD. HDD is known as hard disk drive. So it is a storage device that uses magnetic storage and retrieve digital information using one or more rigid rapidly rotating disks. So HDD drives are the cheaper drives, but these are not the fastest drives. SSD is 4 times faster than HDD, which is known as hard disk drive. Now third type of storage is magnetic storage. A magnetic storage is a storage device that uses a magnetization process to write, rewrite and access data. So these days we are not using magnetic disks because these are the cheapest type of drives. So storage performance. Now storage performance is most often represented in storage products by 2 statistics. One is known as throughput and another one is known as IOPS. Now what throughput is a measure of the amount of data that can be pushed through a common point in the data path in a given time. That means how much data can be sent per second is known as throughput. That means your bandwidth. Now IOPS is the standard unit of measurement of input-output operations per second. Now this measurement is a performance-based measurement and is usually written as total IOPS, average number of input-output operations per second. So if I am having a transactional workload, so I'll be needing more IOPS. If I'm having a OLTP, online transaction processing kind of application, so in that case I'll be needing more IOPS. So service provider will always look for throughput. Now if we will talk about EBS history, in the year 2006 EC2 launched with instant storage. So instant storage is a temporary storage which you will get with some of the instances these days, and once you will start an instance like this particular storage, all the data will be deleted from the storage. Then in the year 2008 EBS launched on magnetic storage. In the year 2012 EBS elastic block storage, IO1 SSD came, EBS optimized instances came. Then in the year 2014 EBS GP2 general purpose storage came, and GP2 is the default storage type in AWS. In the year 2014 EBS data volume encryption came. Then larger faster volumes came. EBS boot volume encryption came. You can encrypt your boot volume. Then in the year 2016 we got EBS SD1 and SC1, and in the year 2017 you can see we are calling them as elastic volumes. So how you will choose your volume type? While choosing your volume type, it is important to know the kind of workload which you are running. So we are having current EBS volume types are known as SSDs, HDDs. So if you will see in Azure, you will get a option of SSD and HDD, but here you will get a option of SSD, HDD and the magnetic drive. Now these are the different type of storages. These are known as storage types. Now first is SSD, solid state drive. In solid state drive we are having two options: general purpose SSD, which is the default volume type. Another one is known as provisioned IOPS SSD. That means where I can provision that how many inputs and outputs I need per second. So I can get IOPS up to 40,000 IOPS we can get, but it is directly proportional on the type amount of storage you are taking. So if you are having a transactional workload, in that case you need to provision your IOPS. Second is known as hard disk drive. So first is cold HDD. We will be using cold HDD when you are having very large amount of data which is less frequently accessed and low storage cost matters. So in that case I will go for cold HDD. Cold HDD storage starts with 500 GB. That means minimum of 500 GB of volume you have to create in this. Next is known as throughput optimized HDD. If you have large amount of data but you need to access that data very frequently, so in that case I need to go for throughput optimized HDD. So here you can get a throughput up to 500 MB per second. And the third is known as magnetic, where you will not get anything, only the storage you will get. You will not get any specific throughput or IOPS. Now storage types in AWS. Current EBS types, volume types, we are having SSDs, we are having HDDs. So you can see general purpose and all these storages are there. So SSD GP2 volumes, GP2 is default EBS volume types for Amazon EC2 instances. These volumes are backed by solid state drives and are suitable for broad range of transactional workload, including development testing environment, low latency interactive applications and boot volumes. The volume size could be from 1 GB to 16 TB. Next is known as provisioned IOPS SSD. These are the highest performance SSD volumes designed for mission critical applications. Now critical business applications that requires sustained IOPS performance more than 10,000 IOPS or 160 MB per second of throughput per volume. Larger database workloads such as MongoDB, Cassandra will be using it. The minimum volume size is going to be 4 GB, maximum is going to be 16 TB. Next is known as hard disk drive, which is throughput optimized HDD. These are low cost HDD volumes designed for frequently accessed throughput intensive workloads. Now streaming workloads requires consistent fast throughput at a low price. We will be using it for big data, data warehousing, log processing. It cannot be a boot volume because it is starting from 500 GB. Next is known as cold HDD. These are the lowest cost HDD volumes designed for less frequently accessed workloads. Throughput-oriented storage for large volumes of data that is infrequently accessed. Scenarios where low storage cost is important. It cannot be a boot volume. Volume size could be from 500 GB again. So that's it for the day.